Alright, the figure above shows a triangular prism whose base is an equilateral triangle with the side length x and the height the square root of 3x. If the volume of the prism is 81 over 4, what is the value of x? So the first thing to do for a problem like this is write the formula for the volume of this triangular prism. So we know that Vt, if I call it Vt, it's going to be equal to the area of the base times the height. So we know that. So if we're looking at the base right here, we know that this here is going to be an equilateral triangle. So what I'm simply going to do, let's focus on this equilateral triangle. So to focus on this equilateral triangle, I have this side is x, this side is x, and I know here that this here, if I draw it down, I'm going to split the bottom into 2 equal halves. That's going to be x over 2, that's going to be x over 2, and this is going to be my h. So what I want to do now is write my height in terms of x. So using Pythagorean theorem, because I know that the left triangle is going to be a right triangle. So let me switch up this. I'm going to focus on this piece. So using Pythagorean theorem, I know that x squared going to be equal to x squared over 2 squared, because I'm squaring both. Now, preferably, let me write it like this. Plus h squared going to be equal, x squared going to be equal to x over 2 squared plus h squared, and that is using Pythagorean theorem. Now if I rewrite this in terms of x, this is going to be x squared minus x squared over 4 equal to h squared. So that's now going to be, if I do this by 4, do that by 4, I'm going to simply have 4 over x squared from 4x squared going to give me 3x squared, simply going to be equal to h squared. As a result, taking the square root of both sides, my h then is going to be equal to the square root of that, which implies here that taking the square root of this is going to be the square root of 3 times x divided by 2. So this here is going to be my h within this situation here. So to find the area of the base, all I need to do now is the formula, area of the base, let's call it b, going to be half the base, or half the base in this case, which is x, times the height, which is the square root of 3 over 2x. So the area of that triangle then simply going to be 2 times 2, which is going to be 4, and then 1 times x times the square root of 3 times x, going to simply be square root of 3 times x squared over 4. So that's going to be the area of my base. So if this is the area of my base now, I need to know, use the volume of the actual triangular prism. So the volume of the triangular prism now is the area of the base times the height. This is the area of my base. So what I'm going to have, my Vt, let me just switch up back my colors. My Vt going to simply be equal to the area of the base, which is 3 square root of 3 times x squared over 4 times the height, which is in this case going to be the square root of 3 times x, which is going to be equal to 81 over 4. With that being the case here, I can do my basic simplification. So this right here going to be the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which is simply just going to be 3 times x squared times x, going to be x cubed, all divided by 4, equal to 81 over 4. To solve now for x, what I'm going to do now, let me switch up my colors. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 over 3, multiply by 4 over 3. So this here reduce that, that reduce that. All this goes. So I'm going to have x cubed equal to 3 into 81 is going to be 27. So taking the cube root of both sides, I'm going to have x to be equal to 3. So this is my answer.